Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. It's Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. In today's episode, we'll hear from Variety's Brian Steinberg on the implosion that has gone on at 60 Minutes over the past few days. Top producers and longtime correspondents have been let go, and they are not going quietly. The new leaders of CBS News have installed a new leader for 60 Minutes, tapping veteran journalist Nick Bilton. The reaction has come in fast and mostly furious from journalism and media circles. But before we get to all of that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. Here's more evidence that major media players are eyeing Africa as a growth market. France's Canal Plus has just had its stock listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, making it the first French entertainment firm to do so. Canal Plus CEO Maxime Sadet says, quote, "Joining the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is a statement of our ambition and illustrates our belief in Africa's future and its creative industry," end quote. Back in Los Angeles, the race to be the city's next mayor has tightened to two contenders as expected. Incumbent Karen Bass is fighting to secure a second term. Reality TV veteran Spencer Pratt is her challenger, who prevailed out of a large field to make the runoff in November. The latest numbers from Tuesday's primary election, as I record this, are about 35% of voters going for Bass and about 30% for Pratt. The problems facing the entertainment industry have become a huge issue in this mayoral contest and in the California governor's race. It's surely going to be a bruising 6 months of campaigning until we get to the finish line of the general election on November 3rd. Variety's Gene Mattis is tracking all of this very diligently as local politics intersect with the business of Hollywood like never before. All of these stories and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. And now we turn to conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. Brian Steinberg, Variety's senior TV editor, has been working nonstop since May 28th, when CBS News implemented big changes at 60 Minutes. They were expected, but that didn't make it any less shocking. Ousted first were Tanya Simon as executive producer and her top deputy, Dragan Mihailovic. Also let go on that day were correspondents Sharon Alfonsi and Cecilia Vega. On Tuesday night, simmering tensions boiled over, and CBS News veteran Scott Pelley was also fired for cause, as new EP Nick Bilton spelled out in his letter that has now circulated widely on social media. There's no way to describe it other than this being one big mess. Observers are wondering how the Venerable news magazine is going to be ready for fresh episodes in September after all of this disruption. Brian Steinberg, thank you so much for putting the phone down for just a few seconds here to talk to me about all that is going on at 60 Minutes.
The stopwatch is ticking, Cynthia.
It certainly is. This is what we're going to unpack piece by piece here. Last week, there was a very big shakeup, totally new regime, some correspondence firings, a real shakeup. I want to talk to you about all of that and the reaction it has produced. But first, I want to start by, because you have been doing great on-the-ground reporting. You've been talking to all the key players here. You spoke with Nick Bilton, who was announced as the new executive producer. What are you hearing from the people in charge of CBS News, and what are you hearing from Bilton in terms of the future of this program?
There's a sense they love the idea of urgent journalism at 60. They would like to have some more timely reports. There's not just deep dives into visiting a hard-to-reach locale or an interesting trend, but also have like the big news of the week, the big get of the week. I think Bilton has expressed that there needs to be more 60 Minutes. It should show up not only on TV, but on YouTube and digital venues. But at the same time, this is already being done. When Bill Owens, the former executive producer, was there, 60 Minutes was doing very timely news gets every week of top executives, top politicians, and top newsmakers. So it's hard to understand what was missing that they are going to put back in. They are eager to, they believe in the show, original journalism, hard hitting stuff, and they like to see more of it.
The segment that you're describing about the visit to an exotic locale you've never heard of, or the long-term human interest stories that they would often do, like those are definitely hallmark of 60 Minutes type segments. But those are also expensive, and this is, 2026 is a new era for journalism. Brian, the Scott Pelley news was like the exclamation point at the end of all of this disruption. I know this is a hard question to answer, but what are you hearing about where the program goes from here? They've lost like half of their correspondents. Where do you start to rebuild this show?
There are two dynamics going on. People are very curious about Leslie Stahl and Bill Whitaker, who are still with the show, at least for now. Will they stay? Will they walk? Do they think that they at the end of the rope? Do they feel if they stay, 60's got a chance of surviving? On the other hand, will CBS News under Barry Weiss start relying more on other folks not part of 60 Minutes? People in Washington, D.C. There's talk about Norah O'Donnell having more of a say on the show. There's been examples in the recent weeks where Major Garrett from the Washington Bureau has done major interviews with important newsmakers. Would that save costs of the program and make 60 more a bigger part of CBS News rather than a separate entity as it has been for years?
Have you ever seen anything like this where you have correspondents going out with just scorched earth? Not only Scott Pelley, who had extremely strong terms, used words like murdering the franchise, but also Sharon Alfonsi hasn't been quiet. Cecilia Vega, who really seemed to be blindsided by her firing, that they're just using the strongest terms. There's so much drama around this. How will they present the refurbished 60 Minutes to the audience in the fall?
It's a great question. This show is being damaged before people's eyes. We're telling them that we're ripping out a lot of the familiar furnishings. Your favorite chair is like an anchor who's been with the show for 20 years. It's being torn down and rebuilt. Do people want to see a refurbished 60 Minutes? CBS is going to find out in the fall, and is unknown. Obviously, the audience will be fed in from football, but the show looks like it's going to be different.
You've been doing a ton of reporting. When you ask the logical question, why are you disrupting a show that is by all measures successful for a news program? What is the official line and what are you hearing privately?
My understanding is they want 60 Minutes to be more timely, to have more reports that are not the, let's go to a strange and foreign land, let's investigate a group of people we haven't met before, let's do a profile of an interesting celebrity. They want more segments that are on the news, getting big gets and big newsmakers who are in the current news cycle. And you've seen in recent months more gets with Trump administration officials and people who are in the middle of doing things that Trump is doing. But I also to counter this, under Bill Owens, one of the previous executive producers, they were also doing this, getting enmeshed in the news cycle, getting doing a deep dive into something that was a second step or a great second story or a more in-depth thing with a newsmaker involved in an issue that was going on that day. It's not like this hasn't been done before. So while they're saying one thing, the logic of it doesn't always make a lot of sense.
It's no surprise that all of this news has been roundly criticized in journalism circles, by media observers. Is there anything out there that you've heard from critics that really stands out as salient to you?
There is a school of thought within CBS News that thinks 60's gotten a little genteel, a little long in the tooth, and needs more of that Mike Wallace on the street energy. There's too many stories that about book profiles and book authors and celebrities and that kind of thing. But these people think they should need a good kick in the pants. And I think you can do that. I would argue that some of the recent work towards making a more timely interviews is part of that move. But this is a radical overhaul, and I think it's at the point where even the public that may not really monitor this kind of stuff day to day is becoming more and more aware of CBS News problems, employee battles, and radical shifts that, you're already seeing jokes about it on the Golden Globes and that kind of thing. It says the public's now more aware of this, and that can't be a great thing for a show that, at least let's let the story speak for itself. Now the show is the story itself.
A show that was almost bulletproof from criticism. Not entirely, but very much. Venerable was almost attached to the name. Do you think it's going to be hard for them to recruit new correspondents, new talent for this program?
Barry's had a hard time getting people to come on board, talent wise, since she came on board as the new editor in chief. People are aware of the situation. She has a reputation for moving fast and breaking things and being a little chaotic. You've seen Anderson Cooper announcing he was leaving earlier this year. There is a sense that this is a place there where things is a lot of quicksand, a lot of swamp marshes, and a lot not easy footing. They may be able to get people from inside something to assign on 60 Minutes. And there's long been a roster of people from CBS News who do pieces for 60 Minutes. We may see more of that as time goes along.
I want to get to the source of the controversy, which is the changes that have happened at Paramount over the last year with David Ellison and Skydance coming in, the appointment of Barry Weiss in October to be CBS News editor-in-chief. It's been said many times she did not have network television experience, and that has definitely shown in the first couple of months of her tenure. When you talk to people in journalism circles, there is an absolute sense that all of this change is being done to 60 Minutes so that Paramount Skydance can curry favor with the Trump administration. Trump is famously not a fan of 60 Minutes. When you ask about that, the political influence here, what are they telling you?
CBS says that the person they've hired, Nick Bilton, is not a political operative. He's not conservative. He's not liberal. He's a journalist who has experience making documentaries. He's got no political leanings one way or the other. And they say that people who want to point to that are silly, but people familiar with the show, and you've seen many exiting correspondents and CBS News, they feel they're being forced to do things that are not up to journalism standards. Pele made listed several examples in his farewell note last night. It was a sustained chorus of CBS News voices saying, hey, we're being made to do things that are not up to snuff with CBS News, and it's not cool.
There is so much to follow here, and this story is certainly not over. I can't even imagine the pressure now on the new regime with all of this. They have 3 short months to get a respectable broadcast together, and that seems like it is going to be a really tall order in this environment. Brian, thank you so much for chronicling this story. This story is by no means over, and appreciate you staying on it.
Thank you.
As we close out today's episode, here's a few things we're watching for. Save the date. August 14th through 16th is set for the Television Academy's second annual Televerse Festival, which will be held at the J.W. Marriott Hotel in downtown LA. Plans include a 25th anniversary reunion for the gang from the HBO miniseries Band of Brothers, and a salute to Star Trek on its 60th anniversary, with an emphasis on how the show changed television visual effects. And now a note for our regular listeners. I've been having a wonderful time bopping all over London this week, but I also managed to drop half a cup of Earl Grey tea on my laptop, which did not take it very well. It's taken a lot of help from my colleagues in London to get this episode out, with special thanks going out to Leo Barraclough and Naman Ramachandran, who went the extra mile to help me do it. Because of this, we'll skip Thursday's regular episode and we'll be back up to speed on Monday. Before we go, one more time, congrats to our Power of Women London honorees, Amelia Clark, Emma Corrin, Cynthia Revo, Hannah Waddingham, and Suki Waterhouse. Variety will celebrate them tonight at our first ever Power of Women London event, which coincides with the South by Southwest London Festival that is also unfolding this week. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, with contributions from Brian Steinberg, Leo Barraclough, and Naman Ramachandran. Sticks, nicks, hick, picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice. And don't forget to tune in Monday for another episode of Daily Variety. Cheers.